to... It is live. I mean, saying, well, I'm just gonna hope I'm live. Okay, hello everyone. This is what's gonna be like near daily streams until paper 1 at least, and then I might do a bit of one on paper 2 just to catch up on what we got. Until people want to come in with questions, I will simply be doing the extension which are buried in my zigzag folder. Now this is kind of like spicier. Is it like here? Yeah, extension tasks. It's kind of like, yeah, spicier coding tasks, which sounds like a plan. Close ours. All right. Ooh. Maybe I won't be doing the extension task. Yeah, this, I can do extension 2. I'm going to start with E1. I was just like, I cannot, I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, let's not start with E1. Let's just do E2. Okay. Copy, paste, rename. So we want to correct, this is a problem with the simulation, that yes, in the nest class, this is where we will, need to spell that right, class nest. Right, it's in this class that we have, oh, this is back somehow. I don't know which shortcut I hit. This is very practical. We have, in the advanced stage, which we're going to call at the bottom of the advanced stage method of the simulation class, we have the place where we effectively feed the aunts by figuring out if we get enough food for everyone. So we're tallying up the count of aunts, and don't know why this is cast to a negative int, but and then we do change food, which just like kind of plus equals the food, and we zero it. So we get like, this is not really good, right? Because like if you get a huge nest, you get one tick, one stage where you're allowed to eat more than what you actually have. It's not going to break in the middle if you run out of food, because it tallies, it sums up everything, and it can have more than one quid in that nest. This is aunts at that location. It's technically possible that it might pick up aunts that are not associated to this nest, which is weird because aunts will have, I believe, yeah, we keep the coordinates of the nest. Do we use get nest row, get nest column? Yeah, sorry, it's get nest row, get nest column. That's my bad. Yeah, so this is, we figure out all the aunts of the nest, but we can have more than one queen because this is where we also birth aunts. No, so this is where we birth aunts, and we get a 2% chance within the 50% chance of like spawning an aunt at all. We have a 2% chance of spawning a queen. So we might have more than one queen and they consume 10. And then what we do is that if we're at 0, meaning that we've had more, you know, we've kind of like literally like finished the last of the food, and we add one end to curl, which doesn't feel like enough, but whatever. And then then this is a separate test. If there's less food than there are aunts, we also kind of kill one. And if there are less food than there are aunts, multiply 5. If we don't have if we don't have more than 5 times as much food as we have aunts, we also kill by 1. So as we start nearing eating the food reserves, this is going to curl kind of a whole bunch of them, right? And remember, each aunt, default worker aunt, will eat 2 as well. So kind of like, you know, this is 5 times. That's enough to feed them for like 2.5 stage. Can you see the code? Are you not seeing the code? So you can see the code. Sorry, you're seeing the code behind me. That's my bad. Thank you. To do well in section D, if we only do only the 20 tasks, excluding the extension time, will be sufficient to act practice for the skeleton code. It depends how you do them and how familiar you're with them and comfortable. I don't think the extension task, like for you to do, I would redo an earlier task than go do an extension task. But if you want to have some fun, I forgot what this one is about. Yeah, because this is a chance, because like none of those zigzag tasks have covered this in particular. although we encountered it in the spawning here. But point is, it's in the advanced stage of the nest class, so just a point I'd like to make here, that we will feed the aunts and then curl some of the aunts. So once we get the total that we need to curl, if it's larger than if we have to kill more than one of them, that's everything. This is weird, right? Like this starts as an integer and then will become, no, that's kind of, sorry, this is still an integer. And then we iterate however many times, draw a random position and then pop it at air pass, right? So because we've popped, the next time we do a laying ounce, it's going to be one shorter. We don't have the problem that like popping is only a problem when you used to use the to list trick if you are iterating over the list, like for something in something else. Or iterating with a fixed iterator that you've based the range. So if you do for I in range length, same problem because your iterator is based on this. Whereas here, we're drawing a random one. What we're iterating over is the number of curls, like to do, like aunts to kill. And if we have killed the queen, we'll do this. So what we want in this extension task is to introduce a new method in the nest class which detects if the queen has not been present for 3 stages and promotes a normal worker aunt to a new queen. Yeah, I can do that. A new method they want? Yeah, a new method. We might need to kind of like, to detect it, we might need to have it in advanced stage, but yeah. So where am I in simulation? I want to my class nest where I was. So in here, as the nest, which is an entity because it has a location, it's pretty much everything I have. We're gonna do self dot private, double private, yeah. So time since we've last observed a queen in the nest, presumed to be at 0 when we start, just like we presume to have 1 queen when we start, right? Check for queen, or like queen check, whatever. This is going to both self, pass. Sometimes my return key doesn't hit. So in here, I'm gonna, after the curl, but what's in the else? Right, this is kind of, I don't like this at all. That could have been, yeah, whatever. We start kind of doing the curl the moment. This is the loosest, this is the condition that is the, right, kind of the loosest condition, in that like the ones that's like more likely to occur because the threshold is much higher. This is a lower threshold for food, and this is an even lower threshold, which is like 0. Whereas this is like 5 times the number of events. That's the first one you hit as food decreases in the nest. So this is where the curling logic happens, because all of the other ones will also trigger it, but I'm not super happy about this being in that block here. Point is that this is if we've not done any, and if we're not in starvation mode, right, this is only then that the queen can lay eggs. This is interesting because your thing doesn't balloon. This is how the nest regulates. So after we've done, I'm probably just going to, if I do it only in starvation condition, is that fine? Yes. So in here, I'm going to call, is it check queen? Check for queen. And what's check for queen is going to do is going to go for A in ons. Queen found starts as false. And then I'm going to iterate over each of the ons that belong to this nest. But let's do it. I'm not going to put a, I could do a list comprehension and something fancy here, but like, for ons. So for each of the, yes, that I'm going to need to pass, right, I'm going to need to receive the ons, the full list of ons in the simulation, because this is how the nest knows its ons, and pass it to check for queens. I would have gotten it from the call because it's in the signature, right? We get called, we pass this by advanced stage in the simulation class. The simulation class has its underscore, nest underscore ans underscore pheromones list for these, which it passes to method that are liable to modify them, or certainly need to read from them. So for each of these ons, this tells me, right, this tells me the ont belongs to the nest, and also this one, literally, right, which is also present here. Don't have to think too hard about this. There's always going to be code. I can't say this enough. There's always going to be code that, will do the things you want to do. But like knowing where it is, to be fair, only relies on the degree of familiarity with the code. But it's easier to remember, oh, that's the place that does that. Like, drawing a random number to figure out you've got a 2% chance of this happening. What's the kind of design pattern for this? That's in there. That's in the nest, spawning, egg laying code. So this is if we have, right, in one of those ants in the ant is things. So we can do queen found equal true, and we can break because we only need to find one queen in this nest. And then after that, oh yeah, and if queen found is true, of course, we do self dot underscore underscore time, since queen is 0 stages. And if not queen found, self dot underscore time since queens plus equal 1. And then if, nesting it in here because we just incremented it, if self dot underscore underscore time since queen is larger or equal or larger than 3, 5, what was the brief? 3 stages. The queen has not been present for 3 stages. It's like 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to be larger than this. So I'm going to say like strictly larger than 3. So add the fourth one. At the fourth one, we need to spawn, promote a worker ant. So the big one, you know what? I'm gonna say nest ants is a list comprehension that is a in ons. No, a for a in ons. A for a in ons if those things, all right? So this will like start iterating over ons and then build a list comprehension that's made an OFDA that only meets this characteristic. So this gives me a reduced list of ons of all of the ons of this nest, which now becomes helpful. So in here, I just need to iterate over that list. And this is where I'm going to check, I still need to check this, obviously, right? Nests sounds, like nests ons underscore of underscore the underscore nest. I want to do it like in AQA style. But once I've got this, it means that now I can draw, or like n whatever is equal to random.rendint between 1 and the length of nest sans. That's going to go draw a random index. This is what I've done here to curl, right? Random position. Yeah, that's kind of like, or 0 minus 1, right? If you, that way you kind of access directly. Yeah, I don't know. I've said reuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. Let's call it output as well for random position. That's consistent. And then we just, how are we going to say? Now, ideally for encapsulation, you would have some kind of promote to queen in workaround, which maybe I will do that actually if I want to. We've got some freedom because it's an extension. So I will say right, promote to queen self, and it's self underscore just single underscore for type event. Becomes equal to queen in lowercase. Self foot capacity, the queen change there. Wait, is one of the workarounds surely that's in the nest, right? Because like, Oh no, just any old random normal workaround, but then you end up with a queen that's outside the nest, which in fairness doesn't really matter because, yeah, it doesn't really matter in the simulation, it just feels like a bit weird here. So I'm going to do it a little bit better. Those are all of the ones of the nest. So yeah, let me just finish it, right? Like self dot and like my queen aunt. Oh, they don't have any food capacity, so I guess it takes the default food capacity 0, right? Because it inherited it from its parent class. Maybe that's typically like a section C question, right? Kind of like, why is this value coming from this part or whatever? I hope that this is clear enough that anything that is not, worker ant and queen ant have access to all of the attributes of these, and those can be overridden, which is a form of polymorphism. Good to know the keywords for section C. In child classes. So now I have, what have I done? Oh, that's just, sorry, there's just this queen on, just literally just have this constructor. Self dot, was it like food capacity is 0 for the queen. Okay. I've got my promote to aunt, I can fold back my worker aunt class. And where was I? The queen found, right? And then, okay. So this is all of the aunts of the nest, which is going to be 1 queen and all of the workers. Now, a lot of those workers are probably going to be outside the nest. So I don't know if I want to, do you know what, let's just promote it. This is going to like put a queen in a random place, maybe by the food or whatever, but like since there's no threat on the map, like we can at least test it like that and maybe refactor to make it better. So just like I get the outpost for the one to cull, I'm just going to like, instead of doing a pop, I'm going to say aunt at outpost at the random position in this aunt array or list dot the new one, new method, promote. Promote to queen. And bracket, bracket. Never forget your brackets when you call a method. And I think this will do that, but like they didn't like, okay. Ons at outpost. This needs to be an F string, by the way. That's why it's kind of like reading like that. Ons at outpost dot get ID question mark. So make that an F. This is going to log a message when I promote, and here I'm going to say section B tips, same as like the ones, for section D, in that like try to tackle the question, don't freeze. Because a lot of actually section B in particular, there's a lot in the mark scheme that's on AO. They're both called the same AO number, doesn't really matter, but it's like design. And so what you're marking, what they're marking, unfortunately, I don't mark. Yeah, I mean, like I think from next year they're going to roll me in. I'm just kind of waiting on someone to discover my video series at AQA. But the way this is marked, passive voice, neutral, is there's like half the mark are for design, which means that they're going to be marking the intention, even if the execution is terrible. So literally you could put like comments in English or just like write some English text. If you wrote pseudocode, you still get half the marks technically, because, well, not half. Don't quote me on this. We can have a look in a minute after I finish this one. But yeah, a bunch of them are for design. Otherwise, like, don't overthink it, but it's true that it's quite a challenge, because different people's brain work in different ways, and sometimes you need to let the problem simmer for kind of to really be able to wrangle it. So often what happens, it's like maths problems, like kind of those kind of like maths exams, like doing things under pressure is like the worst for your brain. So what you do is you train on a whole bunch of like stuff of that similar type so that your brain recognizes the problem pattern to solve it, apparently solve it, but really drawing from memory, which like, you know, is this or this is whatnot, like what all AI or all A or not does, but whatever. So practice, practice, practice is the trick here. That is also true of all exams, but particularly those kind of questions that like don't rely, I mean, you would practice different things, because if you could practice questions that allow recall, because you're still practicing on recall, but for non-recall questions, which are problem-solving questions, there is actually a very hidden amount of recall, in that what you're trying to remember is not something you can put on flashcards. It's something, it's procedural memory. It's like how, like know how to do something rather than know that something is, you know, whatever, like a fact or information. So yeah, section B is like kind of like all, you know, coding is ABC, always be coding, right? Is the key here. But like presumably if you're at the end of that year 13, I don't know, mind you, I was about to say presumably if you're reached kind of, you know, the week before the exam in year 13, you'd have done quite a lot of coding since GCSE, and then you've got the project and stuff, which would have been true like 2 years ago. But I worry that, I mean, I know, because yeah, I know some year 13, depending on how much you've leaned on AI for your development, you might struggle to do, you know, a bubble sort or just some pretty basic stuff, kind of like iterating to a string. And I guess it's a shame, but the jury's still out as to whether it's useful that people know how to do a bubble sort, or it's going to be like reading a map or whatever. But some people find joy in just kind of like coding for the craft. Anyway, so we're promoting an end and we've logged something. What they want to say, yeah, no queen in F, no queen in, and this is self.__ time since queen, close curly, stages. And if, oh no, I've written in the wrong one. Okay, sorry, just like, let's just rename this to our actual original. Yeah, this is where I have an original, which is already a rename from like the actual original code file, which I never open, because otherwise you break it and you're in trouble. Yeah, this is don't do that, obviously, in the exam. That one thing, right? You're taking screenshots. Yeah, I wanted to show the. I was like looking at the teacher notes that they publish along the TNs along the PM, which not every teacher will let you see that because it's coming straight from the board. Which I don't even think I should have this, but let's just gloss over this quite quickly. This is E2. Okay, well, let's test it. Which basically means like just cruelly let the simulation die by advancing stages until they all kind of, yeah, absolutely die. But I mean, I think like if for the queen to die, the aunt queen, not making any regicide. I'm French, but like, for the queen to die, you know, like, she needs to have been curled by one of the curling operations, which might curl anywhere between 1 to 3 aunts every tick, based on those criteria we've seen in the advanced stage method of the nest class. This will tend to happen during conditions of starvation, which I don't know how much the simulation, maybe there's like different like standard settings have got different behaviors, and I've not really graphed that or observed that. You could graph it quite neatly and easily these days, but it's unclear whether like it's meaningful to recover a queen, because likely you'll lost the queen because your colony is starving and it's like clearly on the way of completely running out of food. But still, we need to figure out whether it can detect, sorry, not 10, 5, 10. And surely at some point they're all going to die. Oh no, okay, they found some food, fair enough. Aha, no queen in 1 stages, no queen in 2 stages. Okay, 1. Ah, how can it not have? I mean, I'm guessing you can, I hope that you can all guess why I'm making this face. It's because if we're in that mode, like if we are printing this message by the code we've just written, right, which is like here, then the only way to stop printing this message is to promote to a queen, right? But you should only do this, after the third. So I should still like at least it going up to 4. So the fact that it's gone back, is this still running? Yes. Okay, so let's display the overall details and figure out what's going on. Oh, they're all dead. But still, even if they're all dead, should they not display the message? Oh, it's because I'm calling, sorry, I'm calling my queen check for queen. In check for queen is called in the advanced stage, but that's in the if, right? So they were really in like severe starvation conditions, but are we in an if? Yes, and the moment we lose all of the arms, we'll return. So like we lost the queen. That's the thing. This is what I was saying. This is exactly the case I was saying. For the queen will die typically towards the end of a complete colony collapse, because this is when the total number of events gets smaller enough that raises your chance of getting the one queen in the middle, which means that you're not likely, then add 3 or 4 in my case to notice the queen's gone. You're not even likely to see, sorry, not really likely to see another one pop up, and if you did, wouldn't help much because the queen only lays eggs when the colony is not starving, sensibly. Let's have a look at some section B stuff, though. Where was the mark schemes? Yes, it's in the 24 one. Past papers? Yeah. In your... So this is the one I've done with the bouncy numbers. This is an 8, this is a, right? It's 4 point design, 8 points, so it's not half and half, it's like 33%, like a third vibe. But, an iteration structure is needed a number of times, selection structures for 3 possible outcomes, variable, and then this is the actual stuff that needs to be correct. So, in like var equal input, indefinite iteration, and so on. So like have a fair go, but equally bear in mind, right, like this, they've itemized this in the question paper. I think time management, this way, like in section B, the good news is that this is not tied to a specific preliminary material. So I think I need to figure out if I've extracted it, because I had once made like with the exam builder of AQA, it's not called exam builder. Exam builder is OCR's one, but they have all of the boards. Of course, is something where you can like build an exam. So that I selected, I did like a full compilation of all of like the section B stuff, just as like fun programming problems. Yeah, but like do some past section Bs and do them timed. That's the really important part, because now the marks minute ratio is quite interesting, because they give you suggestions on how to divide the 150 minutes of the exam, and this is where you'll notice that B, right, it's 13 marks, yeah, which is what, like 10% of the exam, but 20 minutes is 1/6, right? So that's closer to like 15%. So those are kind of, take your time, but you shouldn't spend more than 20 minutes, which means that, if like at 15 you don't have something where if it's not working, you've identified the bug, you may want to start kind of thinking about moving on to another question. Certainly do not get stuck in at the expense of this, because it's tempting to get like under stress to push. So keep an eye on the time, and the same goes for managing all of your section, well, all of your exam questions in general, but definitely the coding tasks of section D, as of course you really are advised to attempt all of the, not just all of the section B and D questions, but all of the questions in the paper. I think that's it. I'm not kind of like super keen on what message passing. Oh no, okay. What? I mean, yeah. I don't think they give solutions for their extension tasks, by the way, like in their zigzag files. Is it in code? Q5, yeah, Q20. Oh, there's a, oh, well, display. Oh, this is the, yes, I love those. the sort of like more kind of like low energy, you know, middle-aged English white man does this describing like the code every year. It's, oh, no shade on Craig or Dave or whomever of the two it is, probably more than that. But yeah, right, I think that's going to be it for today. I am going to promote it here. I don't know if I've got a QR code, but the address is in the notes here. It is in tinyurl.com/on, is it capital, sim live class? Maybe not capital, I might, all one word. This is the form if you'd like to be in a live streamed actual class. So that's like student on a video call. You don't have to turn your camera on, but better than doing questions in text. Although if like you want to send questions in advance, I mean, you know, in the comments or whatever, for me to do in the next video, because I felt like I came in going, well, I'll just like do an extension just to kill time. I was really hoping for more questions from the chat, or chat, as apparently is called as a vocative in Gen Z parlance. Thank you very much for watching. I'm doing one of those again tomorrow. Not sure about that. We'll see how the uptake is. I will announce those. I've already announced the Friday one because that's one of the live class. Again, there's still like scope for live classes if people sign up on the URL that is actually, is it, where is it? No, it's here. Am I doing that right? Yeah, that should be just super. All right, thank you. I'll see you soon. I'll be kind of like in regular touch up until paper one, and then maybe just like once for paper two, and then it's likely that we will never ever think about each other again. But such is the joy of AQA paper one influencing.